Are you tired of all the dating games, rules, and societal norms that make falling in love confusing and stressful?
Then join us as we ditch the script and empower you to establish healthy, conscious relationships.
This weekly podcast breaks down popular dating reality television and educates you on healthy versus toxic dating habits.
I'm Brianna, a licensed therapist.
And I'm Alex, a trauma-informed and certified narcissist recovery coach.
Are you ready to ditch the script?
Oh my God.
I love it.
Did you guess the song?
No, I couldn't guess the song. I heard something like mad, crazy, mad
Yes.
what?
Woman.
Mad Woman, Taylor
Yeah.
Swift. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
I was like going like this, but like I was like, I don't think she
Woman.
like tried to be like
To
vagina.
your crotch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Like jumpsuit. This thing
Oh,
you're wearing is
thanks.
sick.
Thank you. Thank you. I
love
got
it.
it as a hand-me-down from my sister.
Okay. Yes, Jackie. We
Jackie's
love.
Closet. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I like it too. It has like a cute little side boob action, but not too much side boob.
Yeah,
And
just
it
like
has
a
a really
smidge.
fun zipper down the back. So, it's a vibe.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe. Yeah.
Okay, I love it. I love it. Maybe this is something that we'll do in our like muted intro in the beginning of each episode is like it'll be like muted karaoke and then we have to guess like what we're
Oh, yeah,
we're
like
singing.
charades.
Yeah, charades. But like 30
That'll
seconds
be-
of singing
yeah.
charades.
And then you have to guess it. Oh,
Yeah.
shit. It's
It's
let's
fun.
do it.
Okay,
Down.
cool. Well, we got it. I only
Yeah.
understood Taylor Swift. And I'm not well versed on like
You were
all
on the
of
trail with like
discography.
mad crazy,
Yeah. I did get that.
You shouldn't have to be though to like guess it, if I'm doing a good job. It's really
That's
on
true.
me.
Charades.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's really on me. Yeah. We would have gotten there if it was real life and I was like, because you were already there and then you would have been able to see the crotch, like mad vagina, mad, like it would have been interesting.
Yeah.
But
Mad
we would have
lady.
got there. Yeah.
Okay,
we
cool.
would've got there.
I love this for us in our show.
Me too. Yeah.
Okay, today
Yeah.
we're going to pick back up on something that we were talking about at the end of our episode last week. And if you're a person who only listens to the first 30 minutes of our show, listen to the rest of it.
Yeah, you should. That's really
Period.
when it gets good. Like, yes, we talk about some things that are maybe a little heavy, but we interject so many good golden nuggets, and half the time they're kind of funny golden nuggets.
Yes.
You're missing out.
You're
Just
missing
saying.
out. Also, like it's this like healthy combination of we've been recording for almost an hour and a half at that point. We're starting to
So
get
we're
a little
delirious.
delusional. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so things that are coming out of our mouths are equal parts like passion, jokes, and just silliness because we're hanging on by a
Yes.
thread.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes.
Usually
Man.
I have to pee. I'm like, we gotta go. I gotta pee.
We have
ASAP.
dogs around trying to like, get our
Totally.
attention. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But last week, towards the end of our episode, we were talking about talking. We were talking about talking with our new partners about our ex-partners
Mhm.
and how that can sometimes be a slippery slope if you don't do it well.
Yeah. I think that
Yeah.
we just sort of wanted to like take this topic that is typically talked about as like, don't talk about your exes. And for us to open up for a little bit of nuance because would I want to hear about someone's ex on a first, second, or third date? First or second date? Probably not. Because I want to be able to just like get to see how I feel hanging out with this person. But once we start spending more time together, I don't really want to assign numbers, but if you're a numbers gal, like 3 through 7, if you start losing count of how many times you've hung out with this person, I think talking about your past relationships is important.
It is important. It is important. And I'll say, like, for me, like, I've been on a couple dates where even within the first 3, it's like the more, like, not the depth of why it didn't work out with my partner came up, but way more like, why are you single kind of came up, or how long have you been single? And so like alluding to like, you know, it worked. Like I remember the first, like on my first date with my, should we just tell them?
Oh my God. Yeah. We got to tell them.
Yeah. Guys, I have a boyfriend.
Whoop, whoop, whoop,
I
whoop.
have a boyfriend and he's
Mm-hmm.
great. And I'm actually recording this podcast from his apartment right now. But on our first date, it kind of came up, and because it was like we were both kind of surprised the other person was single. And but it was way more like it didn't work out because it didn't work out. That's a story for another day. Like I
Yeah.
alluded to it and like we moved
Right.
on. And then like as we got to develop that rapport, then the details of like what were you going through? Like, how did you contribute? Like, all of those like lines came out. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah,
like to, when we're talking about our exes, the reason why I like opening up those conversations, and I like it to be mutual, though I
yeah.
will add that honoring people's boundaries in these conversations are really important because you might not
Huge.
be in the same level of openness when you're talking about past
Yes.
experiences.
Yeah.
Also, we're honoring all past experiences. These don't just have to be these classic labeled monogamous.
No.
We had the talk. We're exclusive boyfriend and girlfriend. I have had a lot of situationships or really brief relationships, and I honor them as such because not that I feel like I got to claim like I was dating someone, but because I was dating someone and
Yeah.
there is relevant experience even in those brief moments or those
Yeah.
brief relationships that where I'm learning about myself that would be helpful to talk to my new partner about. So as I was
Totally.
saying, like the reason why I like to talk about or open up the conversation about our exes is because I do like to be able to say, also when someone's meeting me, they're kind of like, oh my God, you're great, like what, like how are you single? And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
you're meeting a more evolved version of me, let me tell you why.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
where
Exactly.
these
Yes.
are the things that I was, you know, challenged with. These are the things that I'm still challenged by, but this is what I do to like take care
Work
of
on
myself in
it.
these
Well,
moments. Yeah.
yeah.
And I
Totally.
would like to know the same things about another person, but again, sometimes people aren't ready to share that. But if
Yeah.
they're never willing to share it, personally for me, it's a red flag.
Agreed. Well, and I want to confirm that because in my most unhealthy relationship, it was about a year and a half after my divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that was such a big, like, I have to tell people now that I'm divorced.
Yeah.
And so when I met my most unhealthy ex, I remember about 6 weeks in when I was kind of ready for exclusivity. I
Mm-hmm.
brought it up, but I wanted to tell him about my divorce before exclusivity, and we hadn't
Yeah.
really talked about our past. And
Right.
so I brought it up. I was like, look, I'm really getting to like enjoying getting to know you, but I'm also at a place where like I kind of need to share some stuff about my past with you if we're going to keep moving forward and like towards the
Mm-hmm.
trajectory of a relationship. And this person looked at me and said, our pasts are a past for a reason. You don't need to know anything about mine, and I don't need to know anything about yours. Like, shut it down hard. And
Whoa.
me being and like kind of like stern like that, not like it's okay, like not
The
like
past is
that,
the
like
past.
yeah, no, it wasn't like that. It was way more like no, like you don't need to know anything about mine and I don't need to know anything about yours. And really in hindsight it was like girl run, but in the
Mm-hmm.
moment I was like oh he's so mature, he doesn't need to know, like that's what I thought. I was like wow, he's really emotionally mature to not give a crap about what I've been like, not thinking that it's like well he doesn't want to share what he's been through because it's been real
Right.
unhealthy, you
Right.
know.
Right.
Yeah. So, it's I completely agree. I think it's a huge red flag. I think and I also like maybe let's like give a spectrum to this too. Like the example I just shared with everybody, like that is very much like very red. It's a solid red flag. But
Yeah.
I want to give opportunity to the people who might not be as into personal development or emotionally conscious in the sense of like, I want to look back on what I learned from that relationship and they might not articulate it well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I think there's people out there who it might not be so red flaggy, maybe like a yellow flag, a pink flag if it's a struggle for them to like articulate what they've learned and implemented since their previous relationships that has contributed to who they are today.
Yeah.
Um, but like I can speak from experience, even in this current relationship, that's some of the most powerful conversations we've had is like, what have you been missing? What do you need? What does that look like for you? Right. Like we've
Mhm.
had a lot of conversations like that. And the emotional intimacy is just amazing. So I wish it for everybody.
Yeah, and I yeah, it's just a good conversation to be able to, like,
Yeah,
get there with someone, learn a lot
totally.
about someone before you're like, "Oh," it's just a good opportunity for you to be like, if I've been thinking more and more about myself in relationships, what I'm looking for in relationships, what I think that I need, having those conversations before you get to a place of, "We're not gonna see other people, let's be
Yeah.
exclusive, let's be each other's partners for real." It can be kinda nice to be able to be like, if this thing that someone is telling me that they've learned from their past experiences or that they were party to in their past experiences that is making me feel like not sure how I feel about that, if that thing never changes, would I still want to be with this person?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's, and like we've said this before, but we'll say it again. When it's not, could I marry who's in front of me or could I have a long term partnership with who's in front of me right now? That is the epitome of dating potential, right? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
I'll date you and hopefully coerce you into, being more emotionally mature or getting. This is where we can also get into white knighting. Like, let me save you from this situation because I see your potential and this is what, you know what I mean, you deserve, or
Right.
like, let me help you get here. And it really, like, it doesn't serve us. It always comes back to bite us in the ass. And so, like, I think even checking in with yourself as you continue to date your partner and as you continue to establish exclusivity, and like even a few months into that, it's like, could I still commit? Like, I really think that's what it is. It's a recommitment every time, like, that relationship levels up. So yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else
Cool.
to say about it?
No.
All right, well, let's talk about Ultimatum. It got real juicy.
Yeah, Ultimatum's going crazy. And I know that a lot of people have a lot of feelings about this season, but I still think that if we take the first season of Ultimatum and this season of Ultimatum, this one wins hands down.
Totally. I completely agree. I think there's more conscious conversations happening um on a few of the contestants, people's, whatever they're called, the players, the peeps,
What do
the
we call them?
homies. I don't know.
The
The
cast?
contestants,
The
the
cast?
cast. Thank you. I love it. By the way, while I was watching these episodes, I lurked Colby and Madeline because I needed to know if they were still together, and they are, and they have baby number 2 on the way.
Of
And
course
what's
they do.
wild is, exactly, what's wild is someone commented on one of their photos where they're like, "We're so in love with our baby," right? And like, here's our next one. Someone's like, "Is it real or is this just fake happiness?"
I mean, I don't even have the question
uh,
because I just don't buy it.
Me neither, especially like with rushing to baby number 2 on the way. It's like,
Don't get me
yo,
wrong.
guys,
I hope that
me
they're
too.
happy.
I'm not over here like hoping and praying they're
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
miserable. That is, we do not have a vendetta against. And by the way, if you're like, who the hell are these ladies talking about? We're talking about Colby and Madeline from the very first ever Ultimatum
Hmm.
on Netflix. And it was some of the most toxic shit I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we're just agog that they're still
Together.
together.
Even when they came on the reunion and they were pregnant, I was just like, this is a mistake. When they were getting married on the
This
show,
was
I
a
thought it was a
I'm
mistake. Well,
screaming.
do you
I was
do you
like throwing
remember it?
shoes at the TV.
Because the show is supposed to just end with people either getting engaged or breaking up. It's not Love
Yes,
is
and then he's
Blind.
like, "Let's get married right now."
And we
Yeah.
were like, that's a red flag. You're not even
Yep.
giving this person a moment to process if they
To just
even
be
want to.
engaged. Yeah.
Yeah. So they get married and we were like, oh no, 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 no. And then the reunion hits and then we see
Pumping babies up in there.
yeah, they're already pregnant. Alex and I were just like, oh no, 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 no,
Yeah.
no, no, no,
Guys,
no.
getting married, not going to solve your problems. Having a
Mm-mm.
baby, not going to solve your problems. And I really want to get away from that because I still have clients come to me who are getting so much pressure from their families, like in unhealthy relationships, to just have a kid or just get married and it'll help. And it's like, look, when we get married or when we have babies, we really tie ourselves to a person,
Mhm.
especially for an extended period of time. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it's like, I don't know if previous generations think tying yourself to a person equates to it working out. Because let's be very clear here, working out is not the same as being happy. Staying
Mm-mm.
together is not the same as having a happy, healthy relationship, right? There are plenty
Mhm.
of people who go around bragging, we've been married for 60 years. And it's like, well, how happy have you been during those 60 years? And I'm sure there's
Totally.
people out there who have been madly in love and amazed. Thank you. Please share with us your wisdom and secret sauce for your relationship. But
Mhm.
a lot of people have normalized being unhappy in long-term marriages for the sake of staying married, for the sake of the kids or whatever. And I'm
Mhm.
over it. Like, I want to get away from this normalized, like, marriage is just supposed to be hard and yeah, have babies to
Totally.
try and make it better.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Relationships are hard. Marriage is hard, but it's supposed to be hard with room for personal growth and reaching new levels of intimacy that you really have to work for. It's not just how do I sustain living with my partner whom I actually don't even really like.
Yeah, exactly. Like, ugh, no,
Gross.
no. So I get that from Colby and Madeline. Anyway, but this season, back to Ultimatum Queer Love, 100%, way better conversations happening. I'm actually seeing people grow on the show and like using the show that way instead of like last season, that was not it.
Totally.
So, I just like thank you to the cast, honestly, for like caring and doing that, because
Hmm.
Netflix didn't make them do that. Like, these individuals utilize this experience for this purpose, and I really want to applaud that and say thank you, like, thank you for doing your
Mm.
best with that in front of
Hmm.
us and modeling it,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm with that. Okay, so what we have is basically the last couple of days of everyone's trial marriages with the original people that they showed up on the show with, so their original couples.
Yeah,
And then we're about to see if people break up in finality and leave engaged. Those, I guess, are the only two options, or maybe couple up with someone else. And then that'll be the last episode. And then the next episode will be the reunion. So our next episode of Ditch the Script should probably just cover those two things, and that's what we're gonna do.
amazed. Oh my god,
Um,
I'm so excited.
so let's just tackle one plot line of each couple at a time. Let's
I'm
just go.
buckled into your ride.
Okay. Um, I do want to start with Xander and Vanessa because they kind of show up at the beginning of the show. And
Okay.
what's interesting is Xander and Vanessa are on a date in which they're sort of like, I don't know, they're reconnecting, and Vanessa says something, or Xander says something like, um, about Vanessa 2.0 and really getting to experience and enjoy this like new and improved Vanessa, the Vanessa that wants to leave here engaged, sees marriage as something that she's interested in the future. And I just was upset by this because I was like, there is no Vanessa 2.0. I'm not saying that she hasn't had any shift of perspective at all. I just
I am
don't think that it's this. I just don't think that it's this. That this
genuine.
like. I don't think it's genuine, and I don't think it's this. The amount of miles between I don't want any marriage. I'm sick at the thought of being with one person
Gagging
forever.
at the thought
To
of.
I want you to get married. I want to get married to you. I see my life with you. I want to be with you. You are my person. I'm sorry that I've never given all of my love to you. Is
Yeah.
bullshit.
Bullshit. For real. For real. It doesn't make sense. It's like, do not pass go, do not collect $200. Like, some shit is up here. I don't understand it. And really, you know what? I'm being facetious because it's like I don't understand. Really what it is it's calculation and it's manipulation because Vanessa doesn't want to leave the show alone.
Yeah.
And I think she just wants to hook Xander back in mostly because she's pissed that Xander fell in love with somebody else.
Yeah.
I really think it's that. It has nothing to do with actually wanting to marry Xander. It has nothing to do with Vanessa truly realizing, like, oh my God, I've, balked at monogamy this whole time, and maybe it is something that I actually want. I don't think any of that's happening. I
Mm,
purely think she's like butthurt that her person that she's been with for 4 years fell in love with someone in 3 weeks, and now she's like, what do I need to do to hook, line, and sink? Yeah.
Even like the way that she talks about their relationship of being like, I'm getting glimpses of who you were again. It's very clear that Vanessa prefers the way that their relationship was before, which in which she held a lot of the power. Xander was someone who had expressed like, I don't like in this relationship with Yoli, I don't have to ask for so much. Like I can just be myself. I don't have to fight
Oh
so
my
hard.
God. What a
And
beautiful relationship.
with Vanessa's like kind of craving things though as they were,
Right.
though she like decides that she wants to get married again. She wants to get married to a complacent Xander. She doesn't want to
Yes.
get married to a self-actualized Xander.
No, and that is exactly like what manipulation at its finest, because that's exactly it. What Brie just said. She a complacent Xander, a people pleasing Xander, a fun response Xander, someone who is
Mm-hmm.
going to let Vanessa continue to get away and do whatever the hell Vanessa wants without any feelings about it, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like what Xander describes when reflecting on their relationship with Yoli, it's like it gives me like the most warm fuzzy goosebumps, in the sense that it's like I don't have to ask for much. Like I can just be. Like I could just be. That isn't that the goal? Like
Yeah.
to just coexist with someone in a space where you feel safe being. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh man, it made me ache a little. I was like, oh my
It
God,
was
run
kind of
away.
interesting to see
Run.
Vanessa's dad really hit the nail on the head
And then Vanessa
about
get
this.
defensive about it.
And then Vanessa get defensive about it. But I'm actually really grateful for her dad's soundbite in this moment, because he was like, "Hey, listen,
Yeah.
I recognize this. I recognize this in myself." In that moment, I was like, "Oh, this is kind of a self-aware person."
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, better than the first interaction we got with from him. I was like,
the
okay,
first one was weird.
real weird. I mean, maybe it was the cameras or something, or maybe I have a feeling, I feel like she alluded to not seeing her dad for a while. So maybe like he just felt like this is such a publicity stunt for my kid type vibes, that he was super awkward the first time. And maybe the next time he was like, okay, I know how to like be present despite the cameras this time, maybe. I don't
Okay,
know.
and another
Yeah.
theory is Ray was a new person. And
True.
maybe that's how he sort of shows up and masks in front of a new person.
So great point. Love it. Thank you.
Maybe. We don't know, because I don't
Totally.
know this man. He literally came out of nowhere.
Yeah, for real. But this time he shed some wisdom, and I agree with you. I was like, "You go, Daddy-O. Like, come on
Yeah.
now.
So
Drop the mic."
basically what he calls Vanessa out for, and he does it in a pretty like non-judgmental way.
So true. Yeah.
Like, and again, because I think it comes from a place of experience. He's like, listen, I've been in a relationship where I I was back and forth with my thoughts about this person for a really long time. But then the minute that it seemed like they were ready to leave and they were kind of done with this experience, I was like, oh, I can give you everything that you've been asking for. And what he says specifically is, it's not that I wanted this person, it's that I was uncomfortable with how my ego was affected when this person was
Yeah.
ready to leave.
Yeah.
And I, and he's sort of suggesting, he's like, could that be what's happening right now? And
Yeah.
Vanessa didn't take that too well, but anyone who has eyes and ears, even on a show as edited and like kind of fake as this, like can see that is what is happening.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Yeah. Um and the thing that the thing that kind of made me laugh was when he was like, it sounds like Xander progressed more in the ideas of like, what do I want, what do I need in a relationship, and Vanessa gets defensive and is like, I disagree, I did the same thing. Just because I didn't fall in love and have sex with somebody a lot doesn't mean. And I was like, that's her trying to throw Xander under the bus with her dad,
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
like, Dad, she fell in love and had sex with someone else, and you're over here saying she's doing the right thing. Like, that was
Right.
her way of trying to like tattletale on her
Mm-hmm.
partner. When it's like, girl, like you and Ray had your stuff too, and you got your, like, you did your thing. Like, don't Don't try.
Right.
So anyway, yeah, I thought that was really interesting, and I feel, I hope Vanessa figures it out. I really do. I don't think she's gonna figure it out right now because we would have, I think, already seen some growth. But I do hope she figures it out. Maybe watching this back, we'll see how she feels on the reunion.
Totally. I've been thinking about
Yeah,
that a lot. There's so much
I'm
in me
so
that wants to like
curious.
blast through and just watch the reunion because I'm
Girl,
dying.
it was hard for me to stop this next episode. I was like, fuck, okay, I want
I
to know
know.
what
I
happens.
know. I
Yeah.
know.
Oh,
Yeah, I think I want to make an example out of Vanessa, and we've definitely been trying to do this since we met her. Um,
yeah,
but if the relationship that you're in with a person is as Xander has experienced it, which is like I'm pining after a person that like I can see my life with, and they haven't wanted the same things as me. And then when the tides kind of change and the who holds the power in that relationship shifts a little bit, uh, and now Xander now like sees that there's life outside of this relationship and has dipped a
yeah,
toe, and or at least has gotten to have that experience of like, oh, I could be treated differently. And Vanessa's behavior changes immediately once that happens. I just
yeah,
want people to be aware that when Vanessa is making all of these grand gestures with the hot air balloon and the poetry and all of these big promises and all of these really beautiful big statements of, okay, I want these things, everything you've been saying that you want, I'm here for you. I really want people to
hearing.
think very critically about, I want you to like check in with yourself about how that actually feels. Because even if you are hearing someone that you love say things that you've been wanting them to say for such a long time, if it smells like fish, it probably is fish, you know? So it's like I need people to kind of check in with the fact that like someone would make big gestures once they get the sense of awareness that you might leave them. Like they will
Yeah,
make big promises. That doesn't mean that this is your relationship 2.0. No
yeah.
real work has actually been done.
No, exactly. It's a form of love bomb. It is love bombing. All everything that Brie described falls under the love bombing category. And it can be used by anxiously attached people to self-soothe, right? Any like fear anyone with strong fears of abandonment or neglect will could trigger and lean into those tactics. So it's just like we need to understand that I say this, and you and I have said this before, like real love and emotional growth, like trending towards love and healthy relationship is a slow burn. It's not like a overnight hot and heavy, like everything all at once vibe. It really isn't. It's like someone who is consciously approaching relationships is going to want to take their time in getting to know the person and keeping their feelings in check, making sure that they're qualifying and vetting the person before they're like heading down the aisle, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if someone wants to skip the steps of like getting to know you at your best, getting to know you at your worst, getting to know you at everything in between, if they want to skip that and be like, let's just run off to Europe and elope, huge red flag. That's not,
Mm-hmm.
I like, the word normal, but like it's not healthy, that's for sure.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Um yeah, and there's no emotional depth there. There's no rapport there in that. So, yeah. It's hard to watch, honestly, a little bit. It's cringy.
If we could switch sides for a second,
Yeah,
even
we're
with
switching.
Xander, like
Yes.
I'm kind of confused about what Xander wants.
Agreed. Yeah, I wasn't stoked about what happened in this episode.
Yeah. So, and we'll share more about the flip side of this experience on the Yoli and Mal side of this relationship, but there's like a cocktail party eventually where
The
Yoli
group
and
gets.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
sorry.
whole group gets that's okay. The whole
I was mid yawn, everybody.
uh-huh. Just you cosplay as an old man. Um Yoli and Xander get together and sort of reconnect, and like vibes are vibing between the two of
Vibes are
them. And like
vibing.
I get
Yeah.
it, like they're not over each other. I don't know how grounded their their lust for one another is. I know that we saw
Agreed.
a beautiful relationship start to build and form. Um,
Totally.
and that matters. And that could lead to a lot of quality relationship building. But right
Totally. Yeah.
now, I do still feel like there's just a lot of like sexual tension and lust.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. It's early days.
It's early days. They want to jump each other's bones, and I love that for them. But they're
Yeah.
and I also have respect for the fact that they're trying to figure out what that means while they're navigating their own personal choices about the long-term relationships that they came here with.
Yeah.
However, Xander is very much giving vibes to Yoli, like, hey, say the word if you want to do this. Like, I want to do
Yeah.
it. I'm not over
Mhm.
it. I want to be with you. Let's do it.
Yeah. She
And
straight up, she doesn't even just gives vibes. She's like, she
she says it.
proposes. She's
She
like,
says
want to
it.
get married? Let's do it. It was like, whoa.
And I like I get that. And I'm glad that Xander is willing to like make that leap from the type of relationship that Xander has previously been coming from. Um
Totally.
I do hope that Xander knows that like if it's not Yoli, it doesn't have to be Vanessa either.
Exactly. Yeah, because I really like I feel for the people who came here and are giving the ultimatum. They're like trying to latch on to somebody to marry. Like we see it in Xander, we see it in Lexi. And I'm just and we, Sam not as much, but like similar vibes where
Mhm.
it's like, you know, I'm leaving here with somebody.
Right.
Someone's gonna marry me. And it's like,
Mhm.
okay, back to what Bree said. Yo, engaged, not actual marriage. Like
Mhm.
but I do think like everyone's so focused on the M word that it's like, yeah, we could be engaged and keep building and see how this goes. Like, I would love for that to be the conversation instead of like, let's get married. It's like, let's get engaged and see how this goes. Because I agree with you. 3 weeks,
Not enough.
anyone can fall in love with somebody in 3 weeks, and it's going to literally be the honeymoon phase. Like, to Mal's point, are we going to eventually talk? Because
Yeah.
I kind of want to hit home what Mal says. Like,
Yeah.
she kind of go look Mal. I adore this person.
Yeah.
She is so like I feel for her too in a few times in these episodes, but she gets a little I don't want to say hot headed is not the right word, defensive. That's kind of the right word. Where
Mhm.
she kind of stakes her claim over Yoli in a way by saying like I choose Yoli every day. I know her trauma and I still choose her. And like
Mhm.
Xander hasn't seen that in Yoli yet. Like
Mhm. Mhm.
Xander's gotten the best versions of Yoli over and over again and like hasn't seen Yoli be triggered, hasn't seen and same with Yoli with Xander. Whereas Mal, in the relationship that Yoli had with Mal has seen all those sides of her and very much like knows what they would be signing up for getting married to Yoli.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I agree with that. I think that's really the missing piece here. And in this little conversation that Mal, Yoli, and Xander have, Xander finally owns up to that. It is like, you're like, that's not us. Like, I haven't known her that long to be able to speak to that. So like at least Xander, like, and I applaud Xander for for answering very honestly. And then Mal was like, but do you choose Yoli? And Xander's like, I'm choosing myself right now. Like, and I thought
Right.
that was the best way she could have responded too. So
Yeah, I think it was important for them
it
to
got
like hold
intense.
it did get intense, and it was important for them to hold a boundary. I
Yeah.
understood Mal's question. I thought that the timing was bad.
Agreed.
I
Like, not the
understand.
place.
Yeah, I'm glad that Mal sort of brought this to the surface of like I I ride for this person. Like this is a
Yeah.
person that I know really well and that I want to continue to make things. If someone, especially if Mal, if someone was telling me that was like I would
So
choose you through
sexy.
the way that would cure my rejection sensitivity.
Right. Yeah.
I I would the way it would cure whatever sensitivity I have to abandonment,
Yeah.
that's security. What that looks
Yeah.
like in practice, yeah, that's challenging. What Yoli's asking of Mal in their relationship, incredibly valid as well. But they do have a person that's saying, I'm locked in. I'm locked in for life. Whatever we
Yeah.
got to go through, whatever we're going to deal with, like I want you to know like I've seen all sides of you and none of them scare me.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. 100%. Yeah.
But I think
So,
I thought that Mal bringing this up at the cocktail party was just very reactive to them feeling
exactly.
really
It was.
wounded. I don't even think that they were trying to be super territorial. I think that they were just wounded with,
No.
honestly, the
Yeah.
amount of grace and patience that Mal exhibited while Yoli was like physically drawn to Xander.
Yeah.
Mal is so understanding and so calm and so cool, and really provides their partner with as much space as they think that partner is asking for. That
Yes.
I thought that they were like practicing a lot of patience, and then they kind of lost it in this moment. I thought that that was a
Understandably
result of it.
so. Exactly. Yeah. I think she just was in a pressure cooker, and then, you know, again, like she's looking at Yoli so differently than, I don't, and I don't even want to say differently, but like very intentionally. And
Mhm.
so I think it's just frustrating for Mal because they know what they've built with Yoli, and to have
Mhm.
someone in 3 weeks like interject themselves into something you've built over a period of time, it's like it is scary. It feels really like, whoa, how can that even happen? So
I'm surprised that Mal hasn't like dropped the
kept it together this long. Yeah.
no. Well, that, but I'm surprised that Mal hasn't dropped the. Do you remember what I was worried about with you being like watering
Yeah,
wherever you
I
are?
told you so. Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
surprised. I would have been like, this is literally what I was worried about. I know you. I know that, like, truly tell me what makes me different. And at the same time, I think that I don't have any issues with how Yoli's trying to conduct all of this. I do think that Yoli's trying to be as respectful as possible. And they're
Yeah,
human, and she's a human being, and she's like trying to have a conversation and explore what hasn't been dealt with Xander in the few opportunities that they're going to have together before this all like wraps up.
for real.
But
Yeah.
I do understand, and I wonder how the audience felt about Yoli, like us learning that Yoli was talking about finances regarding IVF with Xander while they were in their trial marriage.
Yeah.
I understand Yoli taking in consideration that I love Mal, but is Mal prepared to help me get to where I
Have
want
a
to be in
kid.
my life, and that's have a
Yeah.
family. And that sounds really brutal, but it also is true. Like,
Yeah.
it's, first of all, it's expensive as fuck. It's
I
expensive as hell, and if that's factoring into what she sees for her life, she's allowed to have those honest conversations as soon as it may feel, and ask those
Yep.
questions of a brand new partner, and bring that to her old partner. She's been nothing but honest with Mal about what's been discussed with Xander, all of this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. 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 All of it. I completely agree. It's one of those things like, and we eventually, when we see Mal and Yuli sit down with Mal's friends, like we eventually see them get to a place where like love isn't enough
Mm-hmm.
sometimes. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, majority of the time it's not. Like we can love someone, but like if our lifestyles don't align, if the way that we're like where our goals are and the trajectory of where what we want to achieve in our life doesn't align, like it sucks and it's painful, but it doesn't align, and
Yeah.
like we can't force each other. And so I don't think Mal's incapable of getting to a place where Xander is. I just think, Xander approached her finances and saving one way and Mal in their way, and it's just different,
Right.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
So Yoli's now not only stuck between the personality of these two different partners, but also, yeah, just the realisticness of like the next steps. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't, dude, I'm like I said, I need to know. I need to know what happens next.
We do know that just with Yoli and Mal, what ends up happening is Mal proposes to Yoli, which we could
Yeah.
have seen coming because Mal had told Yoli that they had spoken to Yoli's parents and asked for a blessing. And did you take any issue with Mal sort of starting to lose her cool when they were talking in their apartment one of those nights?
Which part? Hold on, let me
They were
look
like
at.
having a conversation, and Mal kind of was like,
Oh, I don't make breakfast for my roommates. That whole thing.
yeah, but how it sort of ended, where she was just like, I'm trying to tell you that I'm I'm here for you. I'm here despite all of this stuff. Like, what is it that you are looking for from me?
Yeah.
What do you want
Yeah.
from me? What else do you want from me? Because I like I'm trying to give it all.
Yeah. 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 I think this was probably the most triggered we've seen Mal.
Yeah.
Because the one thing, because she starts to say, like, look, you deserve a hell yes, and I deserve a hell yes too. Like, and I
Mm-hmm.
want to find someone who I'm a hell yes for. Um, and the one quote that I have from Mal that I really didn't like, I understood where it was coming from, but still didn't like it. When she was like, I'm like dying, I'm dying for you over here. What is it that you want from me? Like, what do you
Mm-hmm.
want from me?
Mm-hmm.
And this is like, for me, like, this just goes to show that there's like some anxious attachment, because I feel like this is definitely like the motto of an anxiously attached person. They're like, what do I need to become for you to love me so that you can accept me and choose me, and then we're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's coming from this, like, I need to soothe, I need you to want me back. So what do I need to do? And Yoli struggles to answer that, because it's like, she loves Mal. Like, it's not that Mal isn't enough or that Mal isn't doing the right things. It's not that Mal needs to become someone other than Mal.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that the logistics, and it's very much that the logistics of the two different partnerships she's explored is different. And she's trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out what logistics, because if it was emotion, I think she would just pick Mal if it was just
Mm-hmm.
emotion,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that was my biggest like thing that I wrote down. Yeah.
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 I think Mal's getting to a place of, if you're not, if you can't accept me for what I'm trying to commit to with us together, then I'm
Yeah.
eventually I'm going to have to walk. I don't know if that's what ends up happening, because obviously we see how Mal proposes, but I don't know. I want to date Mal.
Yeah,
Point blank
she's
period.
dope. 100.
Dope.
Yeah.
Mal has so many qualities that I want in a partnership, like that, like space, that understanding, that curiosity to understand,
Yes. Ding ding ding.
that
Yeah.
patience, that
And
social awareness in a group setting.
for real.
Hot.
And it is super hot. Yeah. They're very emotionally intelligent. The other thing is not many people can hear their partner be like, I'm in love with two people, and not like lose their shit,
Oh my
and
God.
instead be like really respectful about it and understanding about it, and still do what they want to do for them. Like,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
yeah, very emotionally strong and intelligent. Fuck.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kudos for Mel.
Okay.
Who's next? Who do
Let's
we want to unpack next?
let's
Aussie
talk about
Sam, Lexi Ray,
let's talk about
Mildred Tiff.
Lexi and Ray.
Okay.
Um so Lexi and Ray reconnect emotionally and physically, I think. They like, their
They do.
vulnerability sort of
Yeah.
reconnects at the beginning of these
Yeah.
episodes. I
They very
think
much
that,
imply that they got it on.
yeah, they got it on, which I think is helpful for them, because they clearly needed to reconnect, and they needed to create a safe space for the two of them to start talking about their feelings again. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, that didn't last very long.
No. Dude, I kind of want these two to break up.
I need them to break up. I need Lexi to get a little bit of a reality check.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think Lexi has like idolized in a weird way like the concept of marriage, and like I think she keeps telling herself like she'll feel safe and secure or desired once she's married. Like, I think Lexi has a lot of insecurities that she's hoping marriage and having a woman in her life will take care of. Like,
Mm.
I can't think of anything else why she's so gung ho about it, you know? Like,
I can.
okay, tell
So
me.
yes, that's probably very relevant. But I also know that marriage factors into people's checklist of what helps them feel accomplished.
Right. Yeah.
So
Totally.
sometimes, like, and the reason why I find that to be relevant for Lexi in particular is because Lexi is such a charge horse with her personal goals. all of the goals that she seeks for herself professionally, financially, she is able to be fully in control of. And
Right.
love and commitment and a relationship and a marriage is just one of those things where you can have control over it, but not 100% control.
No.
And I think that marriage feels like it sort of like checks this box of like, okay, got that done. Okay, got that done.
Yeah.
Okay, got that done.
Yeah. Um that's kind of what I mean is like she's chasing some kind of like to soothe whatever it is in her that like
Yeah,
thinks she's gonna be
gotcha.
something. Like, am I gonna be better? Am I gonna be more is it a status thing? Is it a, like there's so many different versions of insecurity, but I just don't, it's like, girl, you're gorgeous. You have your shit together. You're 20 fucking 4 years old. Like,
Yeah, slow
you
it
have
down.
so much time. You have so much time. And like, Ray, definitely a looker, gorgeous gal, has her
Gorgeous.
own amazing positive qualities that she brings to a relationship. And simultaneously, I think you both have so much inner work to do before you even get to a place where you can sustain a healthy long term relationship, let alone marriage. Like, throwing a ring on it isn't going to solve your relationship. It's not going to make you feel better about whatever it is that you're trying to use this to feel better about. Let's go, like, chill. Like,
Hmm.
they really, yeah, it's starting to frustrate me because Lexi's like going into love bombing type shit and I'm just like, stop.
Totally agree. Yeah.
I'm
It's
annoyed.
yeah, it's really frustrating. And the thing is like I want to tackle the Vanessa situation. So at this cocktail party,
I love your
I know,
face right now.
I
I love
know,
your, she's like, we're about to get into it. Okay, go.
I know,
I'm so
because you're
scratching.
sighing, and I'm like, I trust me, I already know. It's so frustrating. So they're in this cocktail experience where it's like all of them together. Ray is actively trying to avoid Vanessa, but Ray is a nice person and she's a friendly person, and I think Ray hates more to be awkward than to like. She's a people pleaser, but in this like tiny way,
Yeah.
where she's like, I don't want to make this person feel awkward. I don't want to be awkward, but I also know that like I shouldn't really be talking to this person. So I'm going to say what's up and I'm going to get the fuck out of there,
Yeah.
which is exactly what we see her do. And it's not what Lexi wanted. Lexi wanted
No.
Ray to totally like scoot right by her, not even say hello. And so they're having this conversation. And I really feel for Ray in this conversation
Me
because Ray
too.
was like, she's not saying this, I'm paraphrasing for her, but basically like what you want from me isn't what I did, and I thought that I was doing the right thing. I thought we had a really good night. I thought that I like sunned Vanessa enough to be able to like be in good step with you.
Yeah.
And she basically saying I did this in my way, which is I'm going to say hello to this person because I'm not an asshole, and I didn't talk to her all night. So,
Yeah.
and
To the point to where Vanessa got the hint. Like, she asked, "Are you ignoring me?" How is that not good enough? You know?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Lexi is like, wow, Vanessa clearly still has so much power in this relationship. And I
Well, yeah,
sat there
because
and
you're
heard that.
giving
And I
it to
go,
her.
you're giving Vanessa power in your
Yeah.
relationship. Vanessa is actually not that involved anymore. Lexi, you have a chip on your shit about Vanessa because of your dating experience with Vanessa. And I
Yep.
get it. That informed you that this was a person that shouldn't be trusted. So stop bringing her into it when she's already
For
out.
real. Yeah, exactly. I completely agree. It was wild. It was super controlling, again, coming from a place of Lexi wanting to feel secure with Ray. Like, in Lexi's mind, she's like, if Ray would have just like cut it off and been like either completely ignored and not even said hi, the other option that Lexi presented is or shut it down and set the boundary immediately and be like, I'm not talking to you. But
Mhm.
that's not Ray. And so it's
Right.
like, you can't demand something of Ray that's not in alignment with Ray. Like, you either
Right.
accept Ray for who she is or you don't. But you don't guilt trip her and shame her for not holding your standard, even though she's a different person. Not
Right.
okay.
Right.
It really bothered me.
Thank you for
Whew.
saying that. I she wants Ray to react in a very specific way, in a very narrow window of what's okay for her. And I know that there are going to be people who saw that and feel in alignment with Lexi to be like,
Yeah.
if you love me, you will
Yeah.
treat this person how I expect you to treat them out of respect for me. And I
Yep.
just want people to hear themselves and maybe flip it and imagine what that would be like, role reversed, in which
Yep.
someone is like, hey, you can't greet that cashier, that's disrespectful to me. Like, it's just, it's not realistic. You, the person who's setting that very narrow window of an expectation for your partner, is setting both you and your partner and your relationship up for failure.
100. Yeah. Like, you can't win. You
You're looking
can't.
for a fight. You're actually looking for a fight.
Yeah, I feel like Lexi picks so many fights, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
stop. Just because you're not getting your way, it's like, well, now
Right.
it's a problem because I'm not getting my way. It's like, you're not two anymore.
Yeah.
Miss, I'm 24 and ready to get married. This is exactly why you're
Oh
not
my
ready to
God.
get married, babe.
Sometimes when I meet people like this, and don't get me wrong, I still think Lexi's like quality bones. I just think that she's
Yeah,
immature.
agreed. Yeah.
But when I meet people like this, I'm like, and I relate, I have been this person. So please know that when I say that this comes from a place of personal experience as well, my
Dude.
mom could absolutely attest to this. But like sometimes you meet someone who's quite young, like in this like 21 to 25 age group, give or take a couple years here and there, that seem, they talk about their selves and their lives like they know everything
Yeah.
about what they need, what they want, what's to come. And I sometimes, y'all, you just sound really fucking foolish. I say that
Yeah.
with love. I have been very foolish when I'm like, nope, this is what's good for
Same.
me. This is exactly what I want. And if I don't get it this way, it's just not going to work. And I just don't have time for it. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're
Yeah.
also a little
Same.
wrong.
Yeah. Like, life, especially when you're in your early 20s, like, there's so much more to life to come. And there's so many like new opportunities and growth experience in so many different realms and that, like, not just work, not just love, everything in between that present themselves, that it's like, if you stay so closed minded on like, this is the path I am creating for myself, you're gonna miss a lot of life. Like, you're missing
Mm-hmm,
the point of life. Like,
mm-hmm.
we are here to grow and evolve. Quite literally, that's all we've done up until this point. So it's like, if fucking enjoy the ride. Just drop
Yeah.
in. Enjoy
Just
the
drop
ride.
in.
Yeah. We're here.
Yeah.
We're here with you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Who's next?
Um, let's talk about Mildred and Tiff.
Dun dun dun.
Tiff and
Okay.
Millie.
Tiff and Millie. Oh, now I gotta listen to Lil Wayne's song. Such a good
A
one.
Millie, a Millie, a Millie. That one.
Classic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really great lyrics. Yeah, analogies out the
Uh,
wazoo.
the first conversation that we sort of have between Mildred and Tiff when we reconnect with them is about their communication
Interrupting.
style. Yeah, interrupting. And so I did want to sort of note that Mildred brings up something that is valid, but as Tiff points out,
Not.
like needs some room for looking at, which is like they don't want to interrupt each other anymore. And Mildred was like, how often do you feel like I don't listen to you or don't hear you? And Tiff is like, literally all the time. And then Mildred got really defensive over that. And Mildred was like, okay, but like I'm Latina and interrupting is part of our cultural, like my culture, and it's part of how we communicate. You've been to my family's house. We interrupt each other all the time. If you're not getting loud, you're not getting heard, which is true. And it's super relevant. And if it's something that like you and your partner are noticing is actually, if that works between you and your partner, interrupt each other all fucking day. But clearly it's not working. So when she's like, I'm always going to be a Latina, like I'm always going to talk this way. Yes, true,
Yeah.
girl. You are always going to be a Latina, and proudly so. Like, please own that. And is this always working 100% of the time in your relationship with your partner? No.
Yeah. Um. I honestly, I kind of have a issue with like, and this isn't like, we see this very clear with Mildred and Tiffany here, but I hear it all the time on Instagram, like doing what I do, where there's a lot of unhealthy behaviors that are normalized or excused because of culture, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
over it. Can
Mm-hmm.
I say that? I'm over it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we should be excusing hurtful behaviors because of culture. I really don't. I really don't. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's some places that are, there's some areas where in the culture it's normalized to be severely misogynistic and, you know, talk down to women and treat women like your property. And it's like, look, I'm not coming for you if you still live in countries where that's the governing law, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay. But if you're coming to like a place where you're trying to get away from the
Mm-hmm.
culture, you're emigrating, like whatever, I really feel that it's like, aren't you coming, like, aren't you leaving that for a reason? Like, can we adopt new, like, healthier behaviors, right?
Yeah,
And
and
not
I
treat
think
people
like
like that?
I think it comes with inventory of how does this fit into my relationship? Because if it works, if all of us are in agreement of typical gender roles that really fit into the patriarchy cross culturally, yeah, some people are very comfortable with that, and that's fine. Um, that's not for me to decide if that's because that would be harmful to me. Doesn't mean that I can decide if that would be harmful for another person.
Yeah.
But what Tiff is saying is,
Yeah.
I know that that
It's not
comes from your
working.
culture, but that doesn't work for me.
No. And in my case, like what I'm talking about, it's more than just the relationship. I'm talking about like people who might treat everybody that way. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
regardless of, and it's like it's harmful. Then you're blaming it on your culture, and it's like, okay, you know, it's like in my opinion, I stand against. Like I don't think that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. It's like
Mm-hmm.
treat people with respect. Basic
Mm-hmm.
human decency is respect, and it's like if you, and I'm, you know, I'm also speaking from a experience myself in when I like long time ago when I was waiting tables and I had someone like, you know, but it's like you don't talk to people that way. You don't
Yeah.
disrespect people that way just because of what's between their legs, right? Like you don't, and it's just like I'm just over it personally. But I agree with what you're saying as well. Like if it works for your relationship where maybe there's like an unhealthy habit but it's not bothering you too as much,
Mm-hmm.
fine. Totally. I think every couple has that to a degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a friend whose partner rolls their eyes a lot when they talk to her. That bothers me. I wouldn't be able to
Mm-hmm.
be with someone who rolls their eyes a lot
Mm-hmm.
personally. But
Mm-hmm.
if it's not bothering them, go for it. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm just, yeah, I'm over people like not using basic kindness and then being like, well, that's how I was raised, so deal with it. And it's like, ugh, no, I don't
Well,
think
I
that's
don't have
okay.
to deal with it. I mean, that's the thing. Like to them, that might not be disrespectful.
Yeah.
Showing disrespect is categorized by a totally different framework of rules and values. So sometimes I want to give people the grace to be like, okay, in your culture, in your world, this isn't disrespectful. It's disrespectful to me in this moment waiting on you at your table. Like I'm having a hard time with this. Or it's disrespectful to me as your neighbor in this moment. Like this is hard for me. I'm not loving how this makes me feel.
Mm-hmm.
um but if we don't have those conversations and we're not willing to sort of like explore, not that you're going to have this with the customer that's at your table, but like if we're not willing to explore and be like, okay, I want to understand where this comes from and why this has always been okay for you and relevant for you, and can I also understand how this isn't, I don't have the same culture, I don't have the same rules, I don't have the same values, and so that's why this gets in the way of me and my experience with you in this way. If we're not trying to have those conversations and trying to de-escalate so that we can actually talk about it and listen, and
Yeah.
instead we're just going to interrupt each other and get really defensive, then yeah, it's not going to fucking
Nothing's
work.
gonna work.
I mean,
Yeah,
this is the thing. It's like
totally.
we really saw Mildred get triggered again, and we saw her engage in a pattern that gets to a place where she does a thing that she typically does, which is disengage and say, like, okay, well, I'm not even going to be your fiance, so I'm out.
Yeah, like and that's another really unhealthy habit that's
Yeah,
normalized
that's
so
bad.
much is like you like we can't, we threaten the entire emotional safety of the relationship when we do that. Like,
Yes.
and then it becomes the boy who cried fucking wolf because now you say it 15 times that now the next time you say it when you get mad at me, I don't believe you, you
Don't
know?
believe you at all.
It's just, yeah, it's like yeah, I'm not, let's get away from that habit.
I do appreciate, so like the next time we see Mildred and Tiffany get back together, um, Mildred was like, Tiff was like, listen, I can't, like, if we're in a marriage and you're like, okay, I'm going to leave. This is why I have this fear that you're going to leave. This is why I'm not going to be able to stand for that. I'm not going to be able to tolerate that. So like, we have to, we have to turn this part of our relationship
Yeah.
pattern off and get it out of here.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm never going to feel like there's safety and security in our relationship. And I appreciated that Mildred, upon reflecting on their last conversation and hearing this, she was like, honestly, this comes from my fear of being left, of being hurt. So I run away, which is true. It's entirely true.
Yeah.
And I am realizing that like I can't just hit the eject button if I want to see if someone stays. So she was like, I have to look at myself when I start to notice that I have problems with my relationship with my
Yeah.
partner. And I was like, fucking thank you.
Finally.
Finally.
Yeah. Yeah. Finally. I also want to take a moment and give Tiff a gold star because I was flabbergasted at how well they
Mm-hmm.
set this entire conversation up. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh my God, you deserve a trophy because I was so impressed, especially since like at the beginning of watching Tiff, they really struggled with communicating in a concise way, even when they were being upset, like when they were upset, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so we see her sit down with Mildred and just validate her. I understand you weren't feeling hurt, or I understand that this is how you were raised, and I understand, like, very much like validate, validate, validate. And this is how I'm feeling, and this is what I would need. Like, they did such a good job. I was honestly shocked that it was the same person.
I know.
It was beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God. Good job, Tiff. Good job.
Yeah.
And then because of the way Tiff set that conversation up, it allowed for Mildred to articulate that, because instead of Mildred being triggered and feeling misunderstood, right? So let me yell louder so that I feel understood, or that you'll finally get it, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She was able to stay calm and self-reflect and be like, you're right. Yeah, I do kind of
Mm-hmm.
need to like take ownership of how I'm contributing to the problem,
Mm-hmm.
So that was honestly like one of the most beautiful moments of the entire show.
I agree. It was cool.
Yeah.
I kind of got lost. Maybe it was just my interest kind of got lost as we continued to follow Mildred and Tiff throughout the next two episodes. Because I mean, I know that they were talking about some stuff that was really relevant. I think Tiff was giving Mildred her flowers with how she raises her son, who Tiff acknowledges his special needs. And so Mildred has to care for him and help him learn about the world in a specific way, specific to his learning style, his needs, which I thought was really cool to learn about. And I appreciated that Tiff was getting real with themselves about like, if Mildred and I are together, this is a responsibility that I could have for the rest of our time together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's true, when you have a kid that has who might be neurodivergent or has just a ton of different needs, you may find yourself being responsible for that adult child at the point that they become an adult for much longer than other parents with more able-bodied children, neurotypical children. And it's just something that I think people should consider responsibly, because if you don't consider it and you're just like, yeah, no problem, like it'll be fine, we'll just work it out, like I'm just hoping for the best, that's when you build resentment towards your partner and their family situation, when like that family, that child didn't deserve that.
No. Yeah.
And then other than that, I have like 0 notes for them.
Same. I was scrolling down to the next episode notes with these two, where it goes into like, how do you define love? Like, because so Tiff, again, very much like being intentional about approaching this about like with the lens of marriage. And so she starts questioning Mildred, like, did you love your ex-wife? And Mildred's like, well, no. And then is like, well, I thought I loved her in that moment. And Tiff starts asking questions to understand Mildred. I think Mildred is just struggling to articulate what she meant. I feel like I understood what Mildred meant, because I feel the same about my ex-husband. Like, when I got married at 20, in the moment, I thought I loved him because I thought my version of love was so narrow and so defined by what I had been exposed to, which wasn't healthy, that it tracked as love, meaning like it was correlated, like there were some similarities, but it wasn't the depth of love that I know now, that I experience now, and that I've had in previous relationships, where I feel safe and I feel way more free to be me, right?
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
I feel like Mildred was trying to explain that, just not doing a great job. And because she was struggling to articulate it, it was making Tiff feel really worried about, like, how do I know you really mean it when you say you love me, if like you married this last woman and like you didn't really love her but you still married her? Like, that makes me nervous. Like, how do you really feel about me? Are you just getting married to this, like, to be married?
Right.
And I thought that was a really good conversation for them to have. I wanted to, the reason I wanted to bring it up is because I wanted to honestly give Mildred a little bit of the benefit of the doubt here, to be like, I get what she was trying to say. I just think she was
Mhm.
struggling to
To
say
really
it.
communicate it. And I understand the
Yeah.
fears that come up for Tiff in that moment, but I think those are one of those moments where you got to like give your partner the floor to really share about their
Yeah.
experience and then choose to trust them that what they're saying is true.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
Um okay, who are we going to talk about next? Aussie and Sam?
We have to. We literally
This
have
is
to.
hard. I have the most notes on this couple and it
Me
breaks my heart.
too.
Yeah.
Me too, dude. Aussie and Sam. We get to learn a little bit more about Aussie's background,
Upbringing.
where
Yeah.
Aussie comes from, what Aussie's experience growing up was like. What we do learn is that uh, Aussie didn't grow up in a totally like not an emotionally available home, not a supportive home.
Open
Uh,
minded.
yeah, there is no specifics shared about what kind of abuse was there, but there's definitely emotional abuse that Aussie has been left with.
Yeah, it sounds like some religious abuse.
Mm,
I feel like I heard her bring up Mormonism at some point. Did I make that up? I could have
I don't remember.
sworn they alluded. Yeah, maybe it was when they were on the couch. But maybe I misheard that, and I really want to take ownership of that. Like, I'm not sure for anyone
Hmm.
listening. But that's why I was like, oh, was that because what it sounds like is, since Aussie has not expressed to her family her orientation, like, and her gender fluidity, like what she's going through and navigating right now, or
Hmm.
sorry, Aussie's going through and navigating right now. um that to me, like, the assumption I'm making is something along those lines. Like, they seem very hyper conservative in some way, shape, or form, where it's like they're
Totally.
not going to be open to Aussie being who Aussie really is. And so Aussie has hidden this aspect of themselves for so long as a means of self preservation from
And
her
what it
family.
seems like Aussie's experience growing up was
So
includes,
gnarly.
yeah, it seems like Aussie's not just the conservatism isn't creating a safe space for Aussie to be like, this is who I am, but
Yeah,
their experiences growing up as a child, being blamed for things that were going wrong,
it's their
created a
fault.
very unhealthy relationship and dynamic between Aussie and their parents. Um, there is clearly a significant age difference between Aussie and Aussie's younger brother. Um,
Yeah.
so it seems like Aussie took on a caretaking role for Aussie's
Yeah.
brother, and I don't know if there were other siblings. And if you hear thunder,
It's because it's thundering. Oh my
do you
God,
hear
I heard
that?
that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm so thankful. That's like ASMR for me, because we don't
Oh,
get lightning
nice.
storms like that out here, and I miss it so much.
Well, you know what season it
Uh,
is. It's cocktail hour
rainy,
shower.
yeah, rainy season. Yeah.
Yeah,
Send
it's like
me send me
you
a
guys,
video.
anyone who doesn't live in Florida, it's pretty annoying if I'm totally honest. I'll tell you the parts about it that I love and the part that I hate. What I hate is that if I haven't gotten like I always get Tucker out in the morning, but if I haven't gotten him out to like pee and another like brisk like exercise walk something, I might
Yeah.
not be able to get him out for the rest of the night because there
Yeah.
are showers that start up somewhere between 1 and 3 and they can last anywhere for just an hour to like the next 5
Hours. Yeah. Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
And the thing that I love about it is if the storms are distant enough, you can, because everything's so flat, like you can see lightning safely outside. Like
Yeah.
it's like fireworks, personal
Yeah.
silent fireworks. It's really cool. That's really cool
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. I do love that. I do love that. I miss
Do
it.
you remember one time, one of the summers that we had together? We were like younger. It's one of our earlier ones. We were riding around. Now it's pouring. We were
I'm
riding
curious.
around on little like razor scooters in your neighborhood, and it
Mhm.
started out, it was like really nice, and then all of a sudden it started downpouring. We were like pretty far from your house.
We had to scooter back.
We had to
This
scooter back in
sounds
the rain.
this sounds vaguely familiar.
I actually think that we took shelter in someone else's garage for a minute or two to like avoid it, and then we were like, okay, we don't even know who lives here, like we gotta scram.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I don't remember that detail, but I wouldn't be surprised if we did some shit like that.
Yeah. And then there
Someone's
was one
garage.
moment where we like embraced it and just kind of like, there must have not been too much lightning or anything because we were like dancing in the rain with no urgency to get home. And again, did
Great.
anyone care about where the fuck we were? No.
No. No supervision. No supervision. We
Zero.
lived.
We
We
sure
lived.
did. Okay, so um okay, so basically I
Aussie.
provide that context about Aussie's experience because I really want people to understand and see that Aussie's challenges with having like engaging in any kind of conflict is is is
Traumatic.
challenging for very good reasons. Yeah, it's due to trauma, you guys. And having that been said, I also feel for Sam a lot.
Agreed. Yeah, I think Sam has lost her patience with waiting. I think they were healthier when they came on the show because there were a few times where you saw Sam manage Aussie's avoidance really well. And I just think Sam, after being with Tiff, is like,
No,
I'm
Mildred.
over it. Like I'm sorry. Wait,
Mildred. Mildred.
Sam was married to Mildred? I thought
Sorry.
Aussie was married to Mildred.
Sorry.
Sam was married to
Yes.
Tiff.
You're
Yeah,
right.
I think after Sam's thing with Tiff, she just got to a point to where she's like, I'm done. Like I want to advocate for myself more. But
Hmm.
we need to understand that when we do that, especially with an avoidant person, it's gonna trigger them more. And that's
Right.
what we're seeing with Aussie. And
Yep.
I do think that there's moments when Aussie starts to get dysregulated where Sam could pull back more. I think she's a little starting to get a little bold. Personally, I think she's getting a little bulldozy when she can see like Aussie's already riled up.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, like I won't lie, like I was like telling Aussie through the TV, like let it out, like let it out. Like I felt like I was
Mhm.
in a session with her. I was like, that's right, like
And are you
say it,
talking
let it
are you
out.
talking about what happened when they were out to eat with
Sitting on the
Aussie's
curb.
friend, and
Yeah.
Aussie left and Aussie's friend went to go find them, and Aussie
Yeah.
went into like full trauma response. You guys, we
Literally naming
fully
it like you,
we
yeah,
fully
like
witnessed a trauma response, and it is good to engage in that process and just let out your feelings.
let it
And
out.
it was so clear that Aussie was teleported back into their
Being a
childhood
child.
and
Yeah.
was raging like a child and screaming like a child. And Aussie's friend supported Aussie exactly how I would want
Yep.
anyone to in that moment.
Yep.
Do not berate someone to be like, you're acting like a child. They actually need to act like a child in this moment.
Yes. Yes. They do. They need to allow the response, the whole everything that's churning within them, they need to express it. They need to let it out so that their internal world can soothe.
Yeah.
And her friend ended up just co-regulating with her and hugging her as Aussie was like letting herself process and do her thing. And y'all like wasn't necessarily in a practitioner setting, not really, but that's trauma work right there. Like, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
so I wanted like Aussie is I'm not gonna lie, like I don't pay attention to what people say online, so I haven't known if people are giving
Right.
Aussie flack about this, but I honestly thought it was the bravest thing they did this entire season.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt for her so much. So anyway, yeah, it was a moment where, and I think these two episodes, like you said, we learn a lot more and can understand Aussie. And now I'm at a point to where like what makes me so sad because I think that Sam and Aussie coming in were the healthiest couple, and I think now leaving, Sam's realizing like this isn't like I love Aussie, and simultaneously she's not ready to like wait for Aussie to figure it out. And so the note that I have in here is like, can please someone get Aussie a queer trauma informed
Mm-hmm.
therapist who
Mm-hmm.
can hold, because Aussie's hungry for the growth. Like Aussie is aware that they have stuff they need to work through,
Mm-hmm.
and they really desire now a healthy, they're open to long-term marriage. Like, come on, like they just need the tools. They just need the tools.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the kind of client I would want in my world, is like someone who's ready, who's somewhat self-aware of like their patterning, but is like, I'm ready to show up and do this so that I can have the relationship that I actually want. So like, it's Aussie's right there. She just needs someone to be able to hold her through this experience and give
Hmm.
her the exercises and the skills that she needs to manage, you know?
Yeah.
But like,
I
fuck, she's right there. She's right there. Like, she's not like, I hope everyone can see that there's no, she's not hopeless. Like, there is this, she's actually so hopeful with
mhm.
where Aussie's at. So yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. No, I agree. I think that I have a similar note. Like Aussie really needs more support in healing some of the wounds that Aussie's experienced from childhood. It's just going to be really important that they get that space and that they can get the tools to regulate their nervous system frequently, regularly, know how to do that in conflict, know how to advocate for themselves with their partner. And in the same way that they're asking for their partner to be really cognizant of language that's used, because this is what Sam's saying. It's like, I bend over backwards to create a safe space for you, which I get, because if anyone does out of this group, it's for sure Sam.
Yeah.
Um, and I also think that Aussie is going to have to take ownership of how like they oftentimes speak to others or their partner in a way that they do not feel safe being spoken to in response. And there has to be a little bit of like a
Both.
give and take there,
Yeah.
because if you want to honor the work that your partner is doing, you want to be able to also give them a little bit of what their needs are. And Aussie's not always going to be able to do that, especially if they're triggered, and that's going to be okay. But if they could also be aware that like, yeah, you don't want to take a certain tone with your partner, otherwise conflict will arise and then you're going to shut down. So
Yeah.
use that information to help manage how often you could possibly be triggered in your relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like so upset about these two.
Me too.
It really makes me sad because they're just so good. They were so good. And now
Yeah.
they're a hot mess.
I do wonder, like, we didn't get to see or hear from Sam too much at the beginning. I wonder how, if Sam was really honest and we got to hear it, how happy she was in the relationship to be such a passive safety curator in their
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah.
Like, I
It's a
wonder
great way to
how
put it.
long they have wanted to be able to facilitate space for their own voice and their own needs.
Yeah.
So I'm not totally sure if that had continued exactly as it was, how healthy the relationship would have been or what would have happened to Sam
Yeah.
at many,
Yeah.
many years down the road.
Yeah.
Hard to
Oh,
say. So
yeah.
I
It is
guess,
hard to
okay, should
say.
we make any like quick projections? Do you have a prediction about what's going to happen with Yoli, Mal, Xander, and Vanessa?
Dude, I have no idea. I have not the slightest clue.
We saw a teaser that looked like on the
I turned the
surface.
teaser off because I didn't want to know.
Okay,
So I
well, then
didn't
I
watch
won't
the
say it.
end.
Okay, so I
Oh,
won't say it.
well,
Do you
you
want me
can
to
tell
say?
me now.
Well,
Yeah, go
on the
ahead. It's fine.
teaser, it looks like, okay, so what we do know, I don't know the context. What we do
Okay.
know is that Yoli and Xander are like talking and caressing and
Yeah.
hugging and like, so in my head they're trying to set it up as like, okay, Yoli's
They get
going to
together.
leave with Xander, but it could also be a goodbye
Could be that. And
meeting.
it could also be like, film that's from them being together that they're playing now, trying to make it look like that. You know what I
No,
mean?
it's same day setting.
Oh, shit. Really? Like
Same
Yoli's in
outfit.
her fit?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
fuck.
yeah.
See, I didn't see. Oh my
Mm-hmm,
God. That's
mm-hmm,
juicy.
mm-hmm,
That's juicy.
mm-hmm. I
That's real
hope
juicy.
Mildred and Tiff split.
Yeah, I hope Mildred and Tip. I basically hope everybody breaks up.
I hope everyone breaks up too.
I mean, like, I didn't want Aussie and Sam to break up, but now I'm like, okay, they can break up
There's
too.
there's definitely a part of me that would love to see Yoli and Mal stay together.
Yeah, but I also would love Yoli with Xander, so like I'm kind of open to either choice there. But like Lexi Ray break up, Vanessa Xander break up, Aussie Sam break up, or get Aussie some support and maybe some couple support too, just so they can also have tools together. And Sam can like know how to like even better support but not enable. Like I think that Sam could use some like language on like how to do that, like thread that
Mm-hmm.
line because that's
Mm-hmm.
or tread that line because that's real hard. But yeah, I don't know.
I need Xander to leave Vanessa. I don't give a fuck who
Care about
Xander leaves
anything else.
with.
Yeah.
I need Xander to
Yeah.
leave without Vanessa
100.
and have very
Yes.
firm boundaries with being
Yes.
in touch with Vanessa, period. If
Yeah.
okay, actually we should talk about this really briefly. If you
Okay.
are breaking up with someone who is like Vanessa, who is very charming, very alluring, use sex and attraction and love, basically who love bombs for a
The
living.
fuck out of you.
When you
Yeah.
break up with that
Understood.
person, even though you are taking the first very important big step of freeing yourself from this person's web, you are not out of the woods, my friend. And I need you to know
No.
that.
Yeah.
What this person will do is anytime that they have space with you, whether it's in communication or in person with you, they are going to play up on sexual tension. They are going to
Yeah.
play up on their words of affirmation. I love you so much. I've been thinking so much about us. I really feel like we can make this work. They will tell you anything and everything, and they will do it in the sweetest of sonnets to
Yes, they
make
will.
you
The
feel.
sweetest of songs.
It's just to make a yes very easy. And so what I
Yeah.
would very much recommend, and this is I would say that this is true for literally everyone unless you have kids with this person, no contact for at least 3 months.
Yeah.
At
Oh my God.
least.
Yes. I say more. I say
I
forever.
forever. At least, I mean, honestly, like let's do AA
Yeah.
rehab rules. In
Totally.
AA, you shouldn't date for a year while you're getting sober in your first year of sobriety. You shouldn't talk to your toxic ex for a year.
Yeah, because you are getting sober. Like, there's science that supports this, y'all. Like, we go through literal withdrawals, especially from I know this word's scary, but like abusive, manipulative relationships. We do because we get addicted to the hormones, the high highs and low lows of the relationship, and the hormones released during those high highs and low lows. So it becomes this like chemical cocktail that we literally have to go through a sobriety type journey to get to a place of stasis so we aren't reaching out. 100%.
Yeah.
And it's hard. I've been there. It's real
Mm-hmm.
hard.
Mm-hmm.
But do it. It's so worth it. It's so
So
worth
worth
it.
it.
All right,
This
what are we
is
ditching?
we are ditching. I don't know. We're ditching the expectation of our partner to react in a very specific kind of way that
Oh my
only
God.
fits like
Yes.
what we're looking for. So we got to leave room for people to kind of be themselves and like get a shared agreement of what does having respect for each other look like in this setting.
Yes.
If Lexi really wanted Ray to absolutely son Vanessa and not speak to her, they needed to talk about that ahead of time to be like,
Before. Yeah.
yeah, like, hey, like I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I'm not gonna be comfortable with you talking to Vanessa at all. And then Ray may would have been able to be like, that actually makes me feel really uncomfortable because not saying anything to this person seems really fucking weird. Maybe there's room to compromise. And then Ray could have been like, is it cool if I just greet this person because I'm really uncomfortable doing anything but I will keep contact to a very low minimum because I don't want to anyway. They would have had a shared understanding. They would have had a shared
Yeah.
agreement. They would have gone in. Ray would have done it. That conversation afterwards would have been totally different.
Yep. 100%. Yeah. I'm gonna say we're gonna ditch this like my way or the highway type attitude when it comes to our partner making requests. And I'm alluding to like Tiffany being like, interrupting's not working for us.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we can have habits from previous relationships, family, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
All of us do, by the way. All of us
Mm-hmm.
do. It's just how we are. And when our partner brings it to our attention that that is harmful for them or our relationship, we need to be open minded to hearing them out and coming to a resolution that works for both of us and our partnership. And if that is not something you're willing to adjust within yourself, then the relationship needs to end. But
Yeah.
there is no world in which that we say tough titties, this is who I am, so be it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
Yes.
we're ditching.
Yeah, totally. 100%. Don't love that. Will never work. You will never
Same.
find someone that's just going to be like, yeah, totally.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And nor is it a healthy relationship in that
Mm-hmm.
dynamic because then the other person's just people pleasing all the time. Not the vibe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Not the vibe.
All
Okay, you guys.
right.
Well, thank you for listening. Like we said earlier in the show, we really hope that you listen to the whole thing because there's some good delirious nuggets in the back here. And then sometimes you see Alex twerking in her little jumpsuit. And if you miss that, like, you just got a show for free. So where can you find us? On Instagram and TikTok? You can find us at
You can
Ditch the
find us there.
Script Pod. We are there.
Yep.
Share our videos. We put out reels every week, good little nuggets of things from the show that are definitely digestible and good for your friends that maybe you're trying to have a hard conversation with.
Yeah.
If you're listening to our show on YouTube, subscribe to us there. If you're listening to our show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please rate us, review us, say what's up, say that you like us. And
Yeah.
go to our website to ask questions or apply for a mini session.
Yeah.
We offer
And
free
tell your
30-minute
friends about
message.
us. Share the
Tell your friends,
episodes, y'all.
share the show. If you
Share with
have
your
friends,
grandma.
yeah, if your grandma's watching The Ultimatum Queer Love, which I really hope
Or
that
even
she
if they're
is,
not,
yeah,
just
share the show
bomb them.
anyway. Share the show anyway. If your grandma hears the beginning of the show and hears about what it takes to be in a relationship for 60 plus years and has any insight, let grandma know
Let us know.
let grandma know how to reach us.
Yeah. Yeah. We want to hear their wisdom,
Yeah, we
especially
sure
if it's
do.
like happy word. All right.
Yeah.
Love you
Love you.
guys.
Love
Bye.
you.